I can't speak for anyone but myself, so I don't know about what draconian measures people would ask for. I certainly wouldn't support that. But Jimmy Kimmel got fired, according to the Wall Street Journal and the Hollywood Reporter, because he refused to apologize. He wasn't planning on apologizing. He, in fact, was planning on furthering the commentary, criticizing MAGA for twisting his words. According to the Wall Street.
This is sing-watching. This is like sing-watching right there. Like, Trump has literally called out Jimmy Kimmel by name. And not only that, if you're forced to apologize to the president because the president has an issue with you, and if you get fired off of not apologizing, do you know what we call that? We call that infringing on free speech. Yeah, we call that infringing on free speech, right? Because no matter if it's prevention of speech or retracting of speech, it all is related to the First Amendment. So yeah, I just don't. Yeah, it's so stupid. Yeah.
Street Journal, the executives approached him on his side, saying they were actually going to defend him, but the advertisers and the affiliates were upset over the comments that he made, portraying the assassin as a MAGA guy. When Jimmy Kimmel expressed his desire to further that line that he had pressed the day before, that's when they had a private meeting and decided to pull his show. So I do believe the FCC comments obviously played a role. I think it was multifaceted.
Two legendaries.
I've said this since cancel culture was more in the news with many on the left getting people canceled on the right. If you own a company and someone says something objectionable which threatens the existence of your company, I don't care if that person gets fired. If someone at my company was going on social media and posting abhorrent racist things, I'd fire them too. The issue with cancel culture is that people were being fired for things that were not objectionable. There was a Netflix executive who got fired for simply describing the racial slurs they would not allow on Netflix. Papa John got fired and removed from his company, name stripped from universities, for lamenting the fact that the colonel used a racial slur and got away with it. And there was no criticism.
Wait, what? Didn't he just like simply, I don't know about the Papa John thing, but didn't he just use the hard R in the middle of a business meeting or some shit? And the recording got leaked? Or something?
In fact, in one instance, a NASCAR driver lost sponsorship because his father used a racial slur in the 80s. That's cancel culture. Pulling Sarah Silverman off a movie because 10 years ago she did a blackface joke, that's cancel culture. Bud Light facing a massive sales backlash and having their beer pulled from stores and bars, Target losing customers and being criticized. This is consumer backlash. So I certainly don't think a teacher who criticizes Charlie Kirk should get fired. What I will add on top of this is the real reason stated by the reporting from various outlets, left and right, was that Jimmy Kimmel was going to continue that line the next day. And that caused concern they would lose more advertisers at a time when Jimmy Kimmel's ratings are down 43% and he's costing them millions of dollars. So if the FCC is to come out and say, we are going to get you taken off the air, that's a bad thing. But I think it's important that we discuss the context around when a business has a right to say you are threatening the existence of our company.
Adam Freeland, I interviewed Jay Leno about.
Okay, so it's not terrorizing. Dude, this is like mafia shit, by the way. Like, oh yeah, it's not terrorizing the fucking company. It's just company just simply being put pressure, and the company puts pressure on Kimmel. So therefore, by law of association, by law of association, it doesn't apply or some shit like that. What the fuck? Unhinged, but whatever. What can you do?
A year and a half ago, and he was really interesting about.
Wow.
Yeah, it was actually great. I went to his car garage in LA. We had a great few hours. I loved it. But what I liked about what he said was, he believed in like teasing and gently mocking all politicians from all sides.
Correct.
And he talked about the kind of real sort of golden period of Johnny Carson. Nobody knew Johnny Carson's politics at all. And yet, if you've watched late night comedy in America in the last 10 years, since Trump became a politician,
can't relate.
All of them, almost two. I mean, they're all middle-aged white guys, which always makes me laugh when you think about the diversity push, which never seemed to attack late-night comedy. But they all, to me...
Why the fuck would they attack late-night? What the fuck are you talking about? When was the last time liberals have ever... Oh my god, dude, this actual fucking sentient ballsack is so fucking annoying, dude. People don't attack shit just because it's mostly old white people, right? People attack shit when shit is stupid and racist, okay? Like, Jesus Christ, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like he has such a straw man of like lefties and liberals that he has in his mind, right? Like he's talking about the 2014 SJWs or some shit, right? When that shit only lasted for like 2 or 3 years or 4 years and then just fucking drifted off. It was never a thing. It was literally never a thing. The whole like shaming people for having a bunch of old white people like was only a thing for like 3 years, like 10 years ago. Like what the fuck?
Developed an increasing loathing of Trump, which began to really distort what their actual job was, which was to make Americans laugh late at night. I stopped watching them quite a long time ago. I could not watch it. Jimmy Fallon, I would kind of keep out of this. I think he's always been a lighter touch, but I think Kimmel and I think Colbert in particular, they really went hard in the anti-Trump rhetoric. The View, it doesn't have a alternate views. It has one view. They all hate Trump.
Very
they all
funny
came out,
show,
they all came
though.
out in black funereal clothes after he won again. And I don't think these serve their viewers, and I don't think they serve their companies. But I also feel uneasy, as Kat said, about the FCC poking its nose publicly into making not even veiled threats, but direct threats that if ABC, Disney didn't.
By the way, I just want to say Piers Morgan would not have this kind of like soft tone of criticism if it was like a liberal administration doing it. If it was a liberal administration doing it, Piers Morgan would be like a fucking fat tomato, okay? Like he would be screaming at the top of his lungs, 100%. But just simply because it's the Trump administration doing it, and because he says that Trump is his friend, he is handling this issue from his perspective with kids' gloves, frankly. But yeah.
Take action against Kimmel.
Colbert has always made fun of dumb conservatives. Yeah, Colbert Report, right?
Then they were going to pay the consequences. So where do you sit with all this?
Listen, I'm new to your audience, so just to introduce myself, I am a tell it like it is comedian, and no one's safe from my jokes.
Oh my God.
Be it bratty kids, celebrities, politicians.
Just by the way, every single okay, I don't know what his views are. He could be based, okay? But like literally every single comedian is like the way they advertise themselves is always, yeah, I tell it as it is. Like every single one of them. Like it doesn't really make much of a difference, to be frank. But hey, what can you do?
People that just walk by, they're all fair game. But it is still deeply unconstitutional and immoral for the president to silence his enemies. But I think what's important now, especially because it's so crazy right now, is that we zoom out as like people, like human beings. And like there's a lot of kind of empathy being expressed towards Kimmel right now. But where's the empathy for Donald Trump? Certainly what it seems like to me is that he feels like he's been bullied. And I've been a victim of bullying my entire life.
Oh, this is the this is the Hassan Glazer, right? This is the Hassan Orbiter. Oh. No, I don't know anything about Cumtown. Like I don't know that lore, but yeah, whatever. I don't care.
And still I am regularly. I'm on the internet. But I've always said to my bullies, like while it's disrespectful, rude, hurtful for them to be saying that, I support their constitutional right to be saying things about me that aren't true. So, previous Democratic administrations have gotten the same treatment from conservative comics like Dennis Miller, Michael Richards,
really?
Kill Tony. I'm sure a lot of that caused Joe Biden a lot of pain, but never were their constitutional rights violated by the executive branch of the government. And I think that is what the clear difference is here. And I think for all of us as a culture, we have to ask ourselves, like, is the president suffering right now from being made?
You need to be a geriatric millennial to get it? Okay, well, yeah, that's what I've been kind of thinking. Because I didn't even notice that he was playing a character until someone told me that he was playing a character, right? Like, the way that I kind of see this is that, people are so retarded these days. People will tell you, oh yeah, I'm just pretending I'm retarded for the sake of humor. And it's like, And it's like, what? It's like,
fun of. And the truth is this, like 30% of Americans suffer from depression, and there's a stigma. And if that is indeed true, like he should feel equipped to get help. And it is
all right,
public
I
risk.
detect a slight sarcasm to your
I'm not.
tone.
I'm not. No.
Well, no,
Listen,
here's the point
a,
I'm going to make. I don't think Trump feels bullied or hurt or any of those things. I think what he feels.
So why?
Here's what I think he
okay.
feels. So he actually spelled it out in the last few days. There's no doubt, as he said, that about 99% of all the coverage of Trump on all these late night shows and The View and all these other, mainstream media shows has been Trump bashing. It's never been that percentage historically with anybody else. It was never like that with Obama. It wasn't like it with Reagan. It wasn't like it with Clinton. It's never been so skewed. I think Donald Trump brings a lot of it on himself, but I also think there's no doubt, no one can argue to me sensibly, that Trump has not had a more relentlessly vicious, negative treatment from shows that used to be much more by.
wait, what the fuck? We're gonna talk about like these fucking comedy shows treatment of Donald Trump, but we're not gonna talk about Donald Trump's like relentless, cruel treatment at everyone else? What the fuck? Apply that standard back to the President of the United States.
Partisan in their mockery than Trump. So I think that all these things can be true, right? But
he also comes from television, right? And so it's something that he pays close attention to.
Yeah.
Ratings, he talks about there being.
Also, not only that, I just want to say, okay, if your president is like mentally retarded and he's like a remedial, like fucking vegetable child, I'm sorry, but how could you not make fun of him? How could you not make fun of Donald Trump if he acts like the most remedial fucking moron of all time? Like, it is more of a warning sign for me, the fact that you tie your ego so closely to this fucking geriatric, like, fucking moron than it is, like, to anything else. Like, the only reason why you're defending, like, President Trump right now is because you feel personally insulted when Trump is insulted because you're in a fucking cult, right? You look at, like, Trump being a fucking retard. You see him, like, fucking shit out a really big fucking diarrheal shit, okay? From eating too much Hawaiian food. Yes, I'm referencing myself, right? And you're not, and instead of going after him and saying, well, maybe you shouldn't have eaten that fucking Hawaiian food, you're instead praising the way that he shits, right? You're instead going like, wow, Mr. President, your diarrhea is so silky, smooth, and viscous. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is the way that MAGA comes out, this is the way that MAGA comes off to me. It's like they're constantly praising, like, Trump's fucking constant shit. You guys are embarrassing. Yeah, sorry.
Very unfair to me, unfair treatment. This is something that he's like locked in on constantly. So, I mean, to some extent, if these are low-rated shows that are taking jabs at him, vicious jabs sometimes, that doesn't really pose much of a threat to his power if not a lot of people are watching them. But for him, it's something that he's like zoned in on, perhaps.
Okay, well,
and that's what happened with Jim.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's complicated with Jimmy Kimmel. John Fugelsang, let me bring you in here. You said the Kimmel suspension shows how brittle, unmanly, and frightened the Trump White House is. I would add that they're angry about the way they've been treated for years by the mainstream media, rightly or wrongly, and they're vengeful, and they're thoroughly enjoying Jimmy Kimmel.
No. Hawaiian barbecue is not trash, but the last time I ate not Korean barbecue. I love Korean barbecue. The last time I ate Hawaiian barbecue, I got food poisoning, and I had a horrible time in the restroom. Yeah, it was just horrible. Okay.
Or one of their most ardent protagonists getting his comeuppance, which is a kind of human reaction you would not find surprising in someone like Trump. Again, those things can all be true. Yeah, I mean, from your point of view, I remember, for example, here's an example of cancel culture at its worst, where I don't remember anyone on the liberal side coming to her aid. I got bounced out of my job hosting Good Morning Britain for disbelieving Meghan Markle in her Oprah Winfrey interview. And it made a lot of headlines. I said, I don't believe it. And nobody raised to my defense, by the way, on the liberal left, even though I've always identified as a liberal kind of guy myself. But then
No, you're not. You're not a liberal kind of guy. Oh my god. Like, do you see how, like, these people, like, people use labels so dishonestly? Like, normies, conservatives, and even moderates use labels so fucking dishonestly. Like the way they use labels is like whatever they feel like, basically. Like, oh, whatever I feel like my vibes are, I'll use that label, right? Like, this is why whenever somebody does something like this, like, call them out on their bullshit. Like, say, like, what kind of liberal values do you, like, espouse comparatively to your conservative values? Well, guess what? You said this conservative value. Don't you think that maybe as a liberal, that's just kind of bizarre and strange, maybe? But yeah, like, again, like, words should have definitions, right? Definitions should matter. Also, this is why, like, I'll never listen to any fucking optics cucks, right? Talk about appealing to people who self-define themselves, like Piers Morgan, as like a fucking liberal, okay? Because he's the farthest thing from a liberal from what I see, okay? But yeah.
worst thing happened. You know, I was fine about it. I started getting out of bed that early anyway. Sharon Osbourne was on The Talk on CBS, and she got jumped by Cheryl Underwood, who was one of her co-panelists, who was an African-American woman, who accused her of...
Yeah, but then it's like, who uses the fucking UK scale and definition of things, right? Doesn't everyone just use the US scale and definitions of things anyway? Like, even in European countries and abroad, everyone uses the US like way of defining things online, okay? Like, avoid the confusion, okay? Follow the lead of the superior country. You're welcome.
Reporting a racist. And Sharon said, well, what's he said that's racist? And Sharon Underwood couldn't actually explain. She sort of went on a long tangent about how it's kind of, you know, if you say things a certain way, blah, 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 blah. Well, obviously I'd said nothing
racist.
Referring
to whom, Piers? I'm sorry, referring to whom? Referring to whom?
Well, Cheryl Underwood was saying that I had been racist. She was inferring I'd been said racist things about Meghan Markle, which I hadn't at all. And everyone knew I hadn't.
Okay,
but because Sharon...
I'm sorry.
Because Sharon said, well, it's fine, but I was...
Did you watch Josiah's interview with Kalinsky? They end up glazing Destiny. They talked? Holy shit. Okay, wait. Okay, we have to watch that. What the fuck? Sorry.
was annoyed for Sharon. Here's what happened. Nobody supported Sharon. She got suspended.
Okay,
she
well,
then got bullied into making a tearful apology, sort of begging for mercy, really, over nothing. She'd done nothing wrong other than show me support as a friend. We used to work together on America's Got Talent. And then she got fired anyway. But what I remember most of all about it, nobody on the liberal left gave a damn that Sharon Osbourne...
Is there any Piers clip that isn't fucking whining all the time? Like, I feel like he tries to frame himself as like this Giga Chad person, but he's like a crybaby and he's like a whiner. Oh my god, he's so annoying. Like, I wish he would just like, grow a back spine for once and like take it as it is. But he has to complain about literally everything. Like, he's like a boomer that refuses to believe that time moves forward. Like, Jesus.
Career got ruined in that way on American television, simply for saying that I hadn't said racist things when I hadn't. So there's a lot of double standards about all this. It's like, depending who you are. With Tucker Carlson, I showed earlier with Bill O'Reilly a clip of Jimmy Kimmel gleefully celebrating Tucker Carlson being fired, gleefully celebrating Roseanne Barr being fired from ABC and so on. So it's interesting to me to see who people race to defend when it comes to free speech. There's a lot of hypocrisy. What do you think?
If I may, Roseanne was fired by a private corporation for making racist comments that would hurt that corporation's bottom line, and Tucker Carlson was fired for repeated lies that cost his private corporation $750 million. They were not fired because of abuse of power, which is the case here.
But is it the case? Okay, but John, is it the case here? Or could it be...
Based. Oh my god. Based.
That Kimmel did exactly what you've just articulated. He was hitting his company on the bottom line. Local TV station owners were pulling the plug. They were saying, we don't want to air it. In other words, is it not the same thing? But because he's a liberal, darling left guy, everyone's framing it in a different way.
No, this was government. This was abuse of power. This was Brendan Carr saying the quiet part out loud in public, which was very stupid of him because it's going to make sure this issue never goes away. At least with Colbert, they kept this on the down low. If you actually look at Kimmel's comments, I don't really understand why there hasn't been a more forceful defense mounted. He said that MAGA folks spent the weekend trying to assert that this killer was not one of theirs, and then said they spent the weekend trying to blame everybody else. That's really a very fair comment. It was in no way besmirching Mr. Kirk or the grief that many people were feeling. There's been a lot of exploitation over this, and whenever anything of this kind of violence happens, it always brings out the best in some people and the worst in others, and many of us on the left and right will exploit any tragedy to go ahead and hate on the people we already hate. In this case, however, this was going to happen no matter what, and Brendan Carr has always envisioned this. He is an architect of Project 2025. These other cases you talk about are private corporations, and look, this administration has taken a lot of pleasure in a lot of Americans losing their job. They take delight in it, and there's a lot of talented people who work on this show that I hope will not be losing their jobs, because Bob Iger is negotiating heavily with Nexstar right now to try to put a happy ending on all this, because Bob Iger doesn't want champion of censorship to be stapled to his obituary when he leaves. When Michael Eisner is the voice of morality against Bob Iger, my God, what have we come to? Kimmel's going to be fine. He'll find a job somewhere, as will Colbert. They're very, very wealthy, but this is something that's unprecedented. We haven't seen the government doing this, and in both cases, they were contingent on bribes. This is more corruption that we're very...
Get ready, okay? Tim Pool is about to load up with the most remedial, retarded talking point. Someone's gonna mention the Twitter files, and someone's gonna mention, like, not the Twitter files, but someone's gonna talk about, you know what someone's gonna talk about? They're gonna talk about COVID censorship. They're gonna talk about COVID censorship. I think that's what's gonna happen. Who is this dude? I have no idea, but to be honest, I like mysterious strangers, okay, who come in to save the day, all right? So, you know what?
We're all used to in this country. This was about putting a merger through. Bob Iger was looking at the stock price. He wanted to make this merger go through, and he made the Kimmel problem go away because he was hinted to do that by the government. This is self-cancellation by intimidation. It's grotesquely against the First Amendment, and these guys are not going to look good in the history books for doing it.
Well, joining me now is the editor-in-chief of Semaphore and host of the Mixed Signals podcast, Ben Smith. Ben, great to have you on Uncensored. Your debut, I think.
Thank you for, I believe it is.
Very exciting moment.
For both with Adam Friedland, no less.
Yes, exactly.
What's up?
Ben, what do you, I mean, John Fugelsang just made a pretty full throttle attack on the way the Trump administration, as he sees it, is flexing its muscles against media companies to get rid of critics and so on. Do you see it that way, or is it a little bit more complicated?
You know, I talked to Brendan Carr, actually, about this in February, because I think the thing that John was saying that I think most people in our world would say is that the biggest threat to free speech in the United States is the government. That's why the First Amendment restricts the government, not private actors. And that's, the kind of longstanding consensus view. And it really is not how the Trump administration sees the world. And when I talked to Carr, I kind of put that to him. Don't you think, obviously, the primary threat to speech in the United States is you, the government, always has been. And he said no. He think that the biggest threat to free speech was the big social media companies. And I think the reality is that the Trump administration, starting with Trump himself, feel that very, very.
I don't care. Who is this?
Well, I think that you can find me to be a hypocrite on this subject all week online, I will admit, because I react in a lot of feelings about these kind of things. I'm a comedian, and I'm not as educated as your other guests about the FCC or conglomerates or any of these things.
Not a comedian.
Are you Chinese yet? Nope.
Okay, well, I just meant I didn't know as many things as these other things. And my feeling was, it would have been insane if anyone made a crack or a monologue riff about George Floyd while people were initially kind of hurting about it. It would have been a kind of a strange thing. That week was a week of everyone going, hey, something pretty serious happened and we need to be kind of, maybe pause a little bit on the commentary or pause a little bit on the jokes.
True.
It would have been absolutely insane. And I know that the goal of these companies is to keep everyone happy. But you especially have to keep the people happy that give you money. And the people that give you money are probably going to have political opinions and different things. And so I think that that's kind of what happened here. The people that are giving money to Jimmy Kimmel thought that it was a little insensitive, and they wanted him to apologize, and he refused to. And they said, hey, we're going to have to do the thing that a lot of companies do and cut you loose. Now, to speak to the FCC and all those other things that I'm not as educated about, maybe that makes me a hypocrite.
Well, I think a lot of things can be true at once. I mean, Captain, it may well be that ultimately the FCC quotes from Brendan Carr utterly inappropriate, very threatening, quite mafioso, as Ted Cruz said. But it may be that wasn't, in the end, the determining factor. We don't really know. It may be that ABC and Disney just concluded the commercial heat from the fallout of what he said. And I actually think that's a really good point by Jeff Dye. If you had been on air, if you'd been on air on Gutfeld in the week after George Floyd was murdered, I'm sure you were, but if you cracked a joke Well, see, it
Where's
wasn't
the
really even a
flag?
joke, and that's why
It wasn't about.
Where's my
Yeah,
conference
that's,
call?
that's why, Jeff. I mean, the point that John made. I've seen someone trying to explain how it wasn't the way it seemed. I haven't heard this from Jimmy Kimmel yet, but apparently he was trying to explain that.
To me,
he was just revealing that this is what the right were doing. But it wasn't a joke, and it was crass, wasn't it?
But to me, the one difference here is the FCC. You can point to whatever other example of any other comment, whether it's something that actually happened or whether it's a hypothetical, and it's still going to be a different situation because it's not a cancellation that happened just a matter of hours after the FCC was using that threatening language. And you can talk all you want about the local stations pulling out, but Nexstar was looking for a merger. They're looking to get rich off this. They're gonna do what the FCC says. If people would like to believe that's a coincidence, that's fine. I don't believe it's a coincidence when it's the one difference. When Jimmy Kimmel has been making these sorts of comments, jokes, some are just political commentary, going
Right, macro liberal? Can you guys believe that it hasn't even been a year yet? It's fucking over. Like, it's fucking over. It hasn't even been a year yet. It's over for us.
really hard against Trump, really hard against the right. And then the one thing that's really different this time is that just hours before, the head of the FCC was threatening. That to me, that's what makes this different. And I'm not a Democrat. I'm not on the left. I'm not on the right either. I'm just an independent, and I'm a free speech advocate. And as a free speech advocate, if I cannot imagine having any other take, but at the very least, being able to understand how someone could possibly think that maybe this had something to do with it.
Yeah, Tim Pool, I got to say, it's a persuasive argument that Kat makes.
I don't think so. It's just not the reporting. Look, I certainly understand when Brendan Carr says...
I don't believe everything I read in reporting. I think for myself.
Indeed. So you make things up, I guess, because what I can only go off of is what the left and
what
the
did
right...
I make up, Tim? What did I make up? Everything I just said was factual. No, you're going to accuse me of making things up? No. What did I make up?
You made up that the FCC had a direct...
What did I make up? I didn't make up anything. Everything I said is what happened.
And an assumption that I think is not unreasonable, but the official reporting from left-wing sources and right-wing sources, I mean the more mainstream ones, is that the executives were largely behind Jimmy Kimmel. Advertisers, as well as affiliates, took issue with the comments he made, insinuating the assassin was somehow a Trump supporter, whether that was unintentional or otherwise. Jimmy Kimmel, as officially reported, did not want to apologize, didn't feel he needed to apologize, and wanted to further those comments criticizing MAGA for twisting his words. If we are going to make the assumption, the principal reason his show was taken off the air was Donald Trump and the FCC, that would be us speculating, not going off the main reporting. And the only thing I've heard this whole time with even Ben Smith and everybody is the assumption that is true, despite the evidence suggesting it played a minimal role. So I think it's fine to assume that Brendan Carr saying that can be worrying to affiliates. However, if we're going to go off what the actual reporting says from liberal outlets and conservative outlets, Bob Iger, as well as other executives, asked Jimmy Kimmel to walk it back, and he said no. They said, okay, your show dropped 43% over 1 month. Maybe we shouldn't do this anymore.
Okay, Adam Friedland.
Wait, hold on. Yeah, but what if he didn't walk it back? What if he didn't walk it back? Well, we saw what happened, right? He got fired. Well, why do you think he got fired? Well, it's because he didn't walk it back. Why didn't he walk it back? Well, because the Trump administration pressured, right? Like what? Just because it's a corporation related, like, oh, we have to act what's best for our company is now officially like a fucking business related pressure, and not like FCC trying to pressure not trying to pressure a fucking media company to fucking massage like President Trump's like bruised ego. Like, dude, give me a break, dude. Like, this is so cringe. Yeah.
Scott Galloway on the Pivot podcast said that Bob Iger will go down in media history as Neville Chamberlain in a cashmere sweater minus the dignity.
Okay.
What do you think of that?
People always use Neville Chamberlain as a historical reference. Also, by the way, yesterday was entirely on our managers. It was entirely Arteta's fault. I just wanted to say I'm too upset about that. Guys, can I just address this kerfuffle just now? Folks, both sides have been hypocrites. But it also means that both sides have been correct at a certain point.
Dude, not the Hassan guy also being a both sideser. Dude, give me a break. The liberals are just like the conservatives, guys. Ugh. Okay, sorry. I'm fucking strawmanning, okay? Maybe he'll say something different. Who knows? Here.
Point, right? So what we need to do is make them be correct at the same time.
Wow.
Yes, who cares? Like, at the end of the day, who cares? It's comedy, right? The president got really pissed off when Obama did the White House Correspondents' Dinner. He takes it very seriously. You know, if you're at one of my shows and you're in the front row, you know, you're in the splash zone. You might get burned, or the burn zone. Listen, guys, it's just comedy. It's not that.
You're not funny. Dude, I'm sorry. Ha ha ha. Get it? Because you said splash zone. It's gonna be the burn zone because you're roasting your audience. Ha, get it? That's a joke, guys. Ha ha. Ha ha. Is it funny, guys? Is it funny yet, guys? Ha 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 ha. It's so funny. Oh my gosh. I am laughing, losing my mind.
Important. You know what's more important? Like someone that is an air traffic controller. Comedians are like the way they're being treated as modern day philosophers and the most important people in society. It's dangerous.
But isn't that, Adam? Isn't it because
Use of power is important.
No, I think
What do you
speech
mean?
is extremely
and also,
important.
the joke had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk.
Well, he did.
Do people speak
No,
English?
no,
No,
okay,
they
well, look,
didn't.
first of all, I would say it wasn't a joke, right? It was a political statement.
He said
It wasn't.
it.
And the
The joke
political
was actually
statement,
out of
and he could,
sympathy for Charlie Kirk
Jimmy
by saying
Kimmel,
that Donald Trump didn't seem he wasn't being sympathetic to his friend's death.
Exactly.
the point he was making, he said that the MAGA right, effectively, I spent the whole weekend trying to make out this guy was not one of them. The clear inference,
sides were.
Well, the clear inference from that statement that he made is that he probably was one of them. That's what caused all the offense. Now, Jimmy Kimmel,
No, it wasn't.
Jimmy Kimmel
factual.
well, just to be clear, Jimmy Kimmel's briefed that that's not what he intended. In which case, I would say it's incumbent on Jimmy Kimmel to come out and explain himself. At the moment, he's not given that
Why? It's
explanation.
a joke.
Well, because it wasn't a joke,
It's a
was it?
What
joke.
he said was the truth.
Sorry, John?
The least funny thing in the world is when a comedian explains a joke. Okay,
But it wasn't a joke.
Doesn't
was it?
This
kill
is
the
the
crowd
problem.
like being like, "This is what I meant."
It wasn't a joke.
No, it's a freaking.
Actually,
joke.
it wasn't a joke. It was.
John.
It was a setup to a joke about Donald Trump's callous indifference to the murder
Well,
of
it was
Charlie
funny,
Kirk, which is
Trump
the bit
brought
that
up the
got the laugh at the
ballroom.
end of the beat.
Yeah, but John, would you have said what Jimmy
Yeah.
Kimmel said if you were on mainstream television and it was pre-recorded?
Myself?
Yeah.
I mean, well, it's not whether I would have, it's would I have had the right to. And I would have without expecting to
Well,
be
you've got the
fired.
right
If they
to.
wanted to fire Kimmel,
You've got the right
they
to,
had
but would
plenty
you-
of chances to fire him.
You've got the right to, but would you have said
Oh,
it
no,
yourself?
I phrase it a bit different.
Don't have the right to.
I'm on TV right now. I'm on TV right now, and I'm saying that Kimmel didn't say anything to besmirch Charlie Kirk. He didn't say anything that wasn't the truth. He made a couple of statements as a setup for his joke about Trump's callous response to a question about Charlie Kirk's murder. He said that MAGA was trying desperately to prove this guy wasn't one of theirs. That's true. He didn't say he's MAGA. He didn't even say he's a white guy from a white state raised by a MAGA family surrounded by guns. He could have said that. He didn't. He just said MAGA spent the whole weekend trying to pretend this guy's not one, trying to claim this guy's not one of theirs and blaming everybody else. And my God, I've never heard, Piers, the pro-gun control people blamed this much for gun violence since the last time a Republican kid shot at a Republican figure, Donald Trump, a year ago. The people who want gun control in this country, they're not the ones you get to blame for this. So they could have fired him. You're right. Kimmel's ratings are in the basement with the demo. Maybe they did want to do this a long time. The timing of it, Piers, is what's going to damn all these players involved because they will all go down in infamy for being part of this censorship if this goes through. There's no way this ends where it looks good. Kimmel's going to be a free speech hero. He's Library of Congress for the rest of his life. But Carr, Trump, these other folks, again, the comments were not about Kirk. They used it as the excuse.
I think the problem was it was ambiguous, and it was ambiguous enough that actually a lot of people did take the inference from it that he was making a direct.
I've never liked Adam Friedland's haha irony and more irony comedy. It's unfunny. Listen, millennials find it funny, and fair enough. Okay, listen, millennials have a very broken sense of humor. Okay, I appeal to these people. Okay, because my humor is like that, which is why I have to bash other people. The competition is tough, baby. Okay, wait, hold on.
Wanted to.
That he was directly suggesting that actually this kid was a MAGA
The only good millennials are the ones in my audience. Okay.
kid, and therefore they were trying to distance themselves. That's the problem with
Did a
it.
single person
it was
watch
ambiguous.
that?
No, I'm sorry, that's not
Did a
correct. He
single
was
person
saying
watching that
MAGA's
become
trying
convinced
desperately to
that-
claim this kid is not one of theirs. That was the reality of the weekend. That's what they were claiming.
John, the point I'm making was it was clearly ambiguous because half the country rose up in fury about what they thought he was saying. So my point is until
Also-
you are assuming, John, you're assuming that your interpretation of it is the correct one. We don't know yet because Kimmel hasn't
No,
said.
I'm just going by the words on the paper that I read, Piers. I'm just going by the exact words. I don't know what was in his heart, and it wasn't a joke at Mr. Kirk's expense, nor was it a joke denigrating this atrocious crime that happened last week. Again, this is all about weaponizing anger against people who had nothing to do with it, and that's what we've seen all week long. We saw our good friend Brian Kilmeade the week
does it
before
poorly?
call for the murder of homeless people in this
Wait, so do I do it well?
country, that they should all be put to death, including thousands and thousands of veterans. I heard no outcry from our conservative brothers and sisters. Brendan.
True. Cutting Veterans Affairs by 60,000 employees. They cut 20,000 recently, I think. I don't know if it's 20,000 out of 60,000, but I think they cut a lot of people out. Yeah.
Carr was completely undisturbed. That's not on their radar. They don't care
Just
that Brian
completely
Kilmeade
fucked.
called for the murder of thousands of American vets. They wanted to take this guy out. Iger wanted to merge. This was the excuse they used. Charlie Kirk's death is going to be exploited for a lot of things in the months to come.
All right, Cat Tim,
that's
let me go
advice.
around the panel. Cat Tim, do you think we'll see Kimmel back on his show on ABC, or is that it, do you think?
I think that's it,
People
but
rose up
I mean,
because
we'll
people
see him
lied about
somewhere.
what he said?
I mean,
Oh.
we'll see him somewhere, but I don't think he'll be back. I think that there's the cancellation is going to make too much money for people.
Right. Adam Friedland, what do you think?
If he's coming back to TV, I don't know.
I mean, does he even think, or like, is he? Like, I'm not even sure if he is able to process any form of intelligence thought. Jesus.
I don't even know the name of the show. Could anyone tell me what the name of his show is on ABC? I know the Tonight Show and Late Night. I mean, like, guys, this is just like things are. I like it when things are nice, and things are not nice right now. And we need to be like the president needs to be telling Americans to calm down. There's too much violence right now, no matter what the side is.
Yeah, but people also need to
this
stop trying to
president,
kill
the
him.
one we have right now, people are politicizing violence and blaming the other side and claiming to be victims of the other side. It's not nice, okay? What we need to do is we need to not be killing each other, okay? And it's not Jimmy Kimmel's responsibility to deliver that message.
This guy's like the biggest waste of space on this entire fucking panel. Don't know why he is here. He is embarrassing. He is making me cringe. He's making my viewership lower itself. Okay, get him out. I don't want to watch this anymore. Okay, cool. Awesome. I get the point. Okay, I get the point. Okay, good for him. Okay, cool.